where the players have found an ally in Michael Jordan after days of tense meetings that could have ended the season. Jordan, who is the only black majority owner in the league, reached out to Chris Paul to offer assistance and spoke with Russell Westbrook about social justice issues. Jordan reportedly then told a group of owners, quote, "Right now, listening is better than talking." So, Acho, is Michael Jordan the right guy for this job?
He absolutely is, Marcellus. And he is because I'm reminded of a song in Hamilton, phenomenal musical.
It was great. It was.
Phenomenal.
Usually they don't live up to the hype.
But that one did.
And it cost.
And it's a song, The Room Where It Happens.
Okay.
Right? And it's about Alexander Hamilton, Burr, Thomas Jefferson, all them cats. They was in the room where it happened. What am I saying? I'm saying that when decisions are being made, you got to be in the room where it happens, right? A lot of these players, they're not entering these rooms where these decisions are being made. Why? Because, let's be real. Some of these owners, these more wealthier individuals, they don't, one, respect you because you don't have that level of wealth that merits that level of respect to enter some of these rooms. I'm going to just keep it a buck with you. And two, y'all are just very, very different. Michael Jordan, one, based on what he accomplished on the court, but also, more importantly, based on what he's accomplished in the pockets, okay? He's earned the respect of the decision makers. There needs to be a mediator. There needs to be an intermediary. There needs to be someone who can stand in the gap between some of these players, 23, 24, 25, and these owners, 50, 60, 70, extremely wealthy. There needs to be somebody to bridge that gap. Who better than one of, if not the most notable sports figure, the most notable unequivocally basketball player in Michael Jordan. So he is the right guy for the job because he can enter into these rooms, Marcellus. He can infiltrate these spaces that these players just quite literally can't.
Yeah, and I agree. He's the right guy for the job. He's a double owner on top of just being an owner. Not only the owner, a majority owner of a basketball team, but Jordan Brand. And the two guys he talked to are Jordan Brand clients. So think about it. Being a double owner, having that credibility, being a former player, just think about all the different inputs and outputs that exist in what Michael Jordan displays. So that's going to obviously give everyone a sense of comfort. More than that, I think that his business attributes a lot of times get mischaracterized in terms of him not wanting to step in it and alienate people when he was a player and polarize others when he was a player. He took a lot of slack for just being focused on basketball and growing his brand, which is, to me, the greatest personal brand we've ever seen. So when you think about Michael Jordan, I don't think you really have the full picture in terms of his greatness, even then, off the court. Think about what that has monetized and materialized into. He's an owner, but more importantly, Michael Jordan had a mindset that he knew what he was good at, he knew what he was great at, and he knew what he wasn't good at. He knew what he didn't know. So like a LeBron James right now, one of the criticisms of LeBron is that he goes into places and spaces at times and he doesn't have the depth of knowledge in those situations. Jordan knew that when he was walking through the house, even though the door was unlocked, not to always open it because he had a singular focus. So it's interesting now that he's evolved. And through that evolution, he's made it more comfortable for the players to come to him and, more importantly, for ownership to respect him and bring him into their circle. Let's bring in right now our Fox NBA analyst, Ric Bucher. Welcome to our circle. So, Slick Rick, MJ has become a go-between for the owners and the players. Is he the right man for the job?
No, he's not. And when I was first presented with this question, I was right there with you guys. I looked at the appearances and said, well, of course, former player, the only owner who's a former player has the respect of both sides. For certain, there are owners that became owners in part because they got the opportunity to hang with Michael Jordan. His legacy and his legend carry that far. But in this circumstance, first of all, the guy that would be the most ideal is no longer with us, and that's former Commissioner David Stern, the late David Stern, because he has the experience of having brought the league out of deep water and getting the owners and the players to work together in order to make that happen. And make no mistake, the NBA may be back and playing, but right now they are facing issues between the players and the owners that puts them in deep water. All that said, Acho, you were talking about all of Jordan's financial success, which the players look at and they respect. And to a certain degree, the owners do too. But he's not by any stretch the deepest pockets in that room. There are other guys that have been far more successful financially than Michael Jordan. On the other side of the equation, the players. Marcellus, you mentioned the Jordan brand. If I'm James Harden or I'm Damian Lillard or I'm a guy who's not associated with Nike or the Jordan brand, I begin to question, okay, what are the entanglements? He's talking to Russ and CP3. Like, does he have our best interest in heart? And that is ultimately the two elements that are most important for the go-between, which is the ability to say, not only do I understand and have your best interest at heart, owners and players, but that I have the wherewithal to get that done. And again, that's why I said David Stern, because he's demonstrated that he has that ability. Michael Jordan, based on his history, yes, I think it's been overblown, his lack of concern when it comes to social issues. But nonetheless, he has not been on the front line when it comes to that. And that is something that needs to be resolved with the players. And on the owner side of things, does he have the records? Are they going to look at him and say, you're a former owner, you might be going just a little too soft with them? It's walking that line, and I'm just not sure that Michael carries. There's plenty of respect. Does he have the ability to be that go-between? That is the question.
See, Slick, I agree with you. I disagree with you, rather, on a few accounts. I've agreed with you all week, so pardon the misspeak right there. You said that there were two necessary elements, and the first element you said for someone to be the go-between is that level of understanding. When I think about the element that's necessary to me, it's passion, it's fervor, it's a desire, a real want to for change. Michael Jordan, he's been through some things this year. Remember, after Kobe died, he said a piece of me died when Kobe died. I feel like, number one, that led to change. But most importantly, remember how Michael Jordan tragically lost his father by gunshot. And remember, Jacob Blake, 7 shots right now. I think that is an internal motivation that is now becoming external for Michael Jordan. When I'm looking for a leader, Slick, I need someone who is passionate about the cause, someone who truly has a vested interest to truly be that go-between. But then you said that Jordan's pockets aren't as deep as the owners. You're exactly right. But you need a ticket to get into the door. And Slick, if you buying a concert ticket, if you buying a ticket to any venue, yeah, you can sit courtside, you can sit in the nosebleeds, but as long as you got a ticket, you can get in. Jordan at least has enough money to get a ticket to get into the door to converse with these owners. So when I do look at a go-between, I see that Michael Jordan is the perfect one. Number one, because he has a ticket to get inside. He might not be sitting courtside with these owners, but he has a ticket to get inside. But then number two, Jordan has the motivation. He understands what's going on. And while he may have been detached over the last several years, it appears that Jordan is coming back around, at least publicly, to say, you know what? Let me do what you players can't do. Because if I'm being real, owners will forever look at players as players. Owners' name are quite literally owners. And so Michael Jordan, he's not necessarily going to be looked at that. He's not going to be degraded to that. Michael Jordan is also an owner, majority owner of the Charlotte team. So therefore, I see Jordan being the perfect go-between.
Yeah, I got to disagree with you too, Slick Rick. I think he's the perfect guy for a few reasons. Here comes the punches. Wow, wow. One thing is you mentioned that he lacks financial capital to be on the same playing field as the other owners. But what he lacks in financial capital, he laps them in human capital in terms of just being in that room, the presence, to be able to talk to these players on a different channel than the rest of the owners. And let's not go outside of those borders, because human capital can certainly translate into getting things done, especially when you bring up the name Michael Jordan. And one thing that I noticed about Michael Jordan in terms of just all the layers of his success, let's not forget that how laser focused he must have been and must be to always not just get the job done, but come out number one. You're 1 in a million, probably even greater odds just to make it to the pros. And then you not only are 1 in a million, but you become the one. And everyone wants to tell you what else you should be focused on and should do and add to your bag. But Michael Jordan said, let me just do this first. And then he leaves the game of basketball. And for most professional athletes, even the greats, their highlights are behind them, not in front of them. But he translates that, because of his Nike connection and his brand, to Jordan brand. And then he starts to kill it at that while becoming an owner, the only owner that's a brother as a majority owner of an NBA team. So now you're starting to say, man, this dude is not only kicking down the door, but he's taking the king's throne every time he does something. You look at that situation and imagine you walk into the room and there are 29 majority owners that look everything but black. And then there's one in there. And then CP3 is sitting there, you know, as the president of the NBPA. He's like, Steve Ballmer, got an issue. Let's talk about this social justice. What do you think and what do you project that's going to happen going forward? And Steve Ballmer looks at CP3 and says, yeah, Michael, what do you think about it? And Michael has to answer that question. And then they go to Jeannie Buss and they, hey, Jeannie, what are you planning to propose for a social justice issue? She's like, I wish Magic was here. Hey, Michael, what do you project? The point of it is Michael Jordan has broad enough shoulders to take some of the pressure, the guilt, the issues that come from the complexion of all of the rest of that room and to translate that in terms that no one else in that room can.
So what I'm disappointed is with the two of you is that the first thing that should have been asked, okay, Slick, I'm now using that as well. Yeah, okay, Slick, so Michael Jordan isn't the right man for the job. Who? I didn't say he couldn't do the job. I just said he's not the right man for the job. So who, Slick, is the right man for the job? You said David Stern.
He's gone. Rest in peace.
And the right man for the job is Mark Cuban. Because if you'll know about what the players have asked for, while we have made a big deal about social justice, the gives that the owners have given to this point the majority of them have had to do with voting. And that to me is the tell that what the players really want is that they want a change in the leadership in this country. And they want the help of the owners to make that happen. And they want to know that the owners are as committed to making that happen as they are. Mark Cuban, there is nobody, Michael Jordan included, who has crossed swords with the current president more than Mark Cuban. He has that cachet and he has the receipts to hold that position with the players. At the same time, the owners all want to be Mark Cuban because he's a rock star as an owner. They became NBA owners because they were rich as hell, but they didn't have a TV show. They weren't making appearances on Entourage. Now Mark Lazarus is appearing on Billions. You think that's by accident? No. They all want to be Mark Cuban, and the players know that Mark Cuban has carried the flag for them on at least one issue that is very important to them. So I'm just looking at it and saying, yeah, Michael Jordan, there's a lot of reasons why he could do the job. But if you're asking me who the right man for the job is, Mark Cuban's credentials outweigh Michael's by just a little bit for me.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
Yeah, you caught me off guard with that one. You got me, Slick. I apologize. Rewind the last 4 minutes. I take it off the record.